Welcome to Healing Hammer. I mean Strength Hammer, an Age of Sigmar podcast.
Oh my gosh, Healing Hammer. Oh, shout out to that crew. I haven't heard from him in a minute. Dan, I can't remember
That
last
was
time I
one
heard
of my
from Dan.
favorites.
Man,
So good.
that was a staple. That was a staple. Healing
All the
Hammer.
way down to Beady Weedy Weeks.
Was it Garage Hammer, Healing Hammer, Dwellers Below, Point Hammered, Ohio Hammer. I wouldn't call it a staple, but I listened.
Who were the guys? Oh god, they wrapped their intro.
Shoot.
Anyway, it's amazing.
Time before time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still say this. Thankfully, we still have Garage Hammer. God bless Dave Whitetech. May he live forever. I think the podcast I miss the most is honestly Dwellers Below. Just listening to those Aussies get drunk and talk about just Warhammer Fantasy for hours upon hours. Like I would that episode would drop and it became a holiday. Like I would message my wife like, "Hey honey, gonna do some hobby tonight," and I'd get like couple beers and it'd be like I'm just joining them. I miss that podcast so much. I know they kind of tried to redo it for Sigmar. It just wasn't the same. And like that, and they stopped, which is fair. It wasn't the same. But man, I miss it.
I wonder if I just messed up the music with Face Hammer. That's possible.
Ooh, I think you did. I think you did. Well, Face Hammer's still around.
Yeah, Face Hammer's still around. Welcome to Face Hammer.
There you go.
Mean Strength Hammer.
Face Hammer is wonderful.
I need to go download some of those old Healing Hammer episodes and get the intro right.
I should go download an old Dwellers Below episode and just get a 6-pack and just fucking go hard one night in my basement alone. Like
they went on Podbean for Age of Sigmar for a second.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, I think they realized it wasn't the same. It's not the whole crew was into it, and it's fine. Like that's the thing. You tried and it wasn't the same, but like man.
Yep.
I got the nostalgia feels, and I got to tell you, Neil, I picked up a few Warhammer Fantasy purchases lately. I mean, we're just going right into this show, so welcome to 43 episodes of Strength Hammer, guys. I made a couple hobby purchases.
What'd you make?
I ordered the last 2 supplements for Warhammer Fantasy, loosely 8th edition, that I didn't have outside of the Forge World stuff, because I have no idea how I'm ever going to get that stuff, because that stuff is just ridiculously expensive or not available.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was a Battle for the Badlands, which is just a Warhammer campaign, and Storm of Chaos, which was kind of like that first sort of end times but not end times type deal. That was, I think, older than 8th edition, or I don't know how the timing worked on that, but I considered them part of the circle of things that when I was in the hobby that were around.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to own them. So I ordered
Storm
them.
of Chaos was 2006, I want to say.
Yeah, I remember people talking about it, like, and like seeing the book, but I don't know if it was actually for 8th edition fantasy.
No, Storm of Chaos, or maybe I'm thinking of something different.
For Storm of Magic I have. That's the Magic supplement campaign, which is crazy fun.
There was a worldwide campaign back in the day. It was Archaon's first foray down into the
I think that was
the Empire.
That was the first Storm of Chaos, but I think that wasn't a book.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I've.
Yeah, there was a Chronicles or some kind of campaign, something or other. That's where Eltharion the Blind was from that edition. I believe that was 6th edition Warhammer Fantasy.
He was 6th edition for the Elf book. So
Yep. So I believe that was all them's days.
Well, regardless,
But I digress. Yeah.
these last two books were the ones I kind of like wanted to have my that collection be complete because I have every eighth edition fantasy book. Like when Age of Sigmar started, I said like, you know what, I'm all in for Age of Sigmar, but I'm gonna buy up these books so I have them just in case for the time.
Yeah.
Like right now, which is happening, where it's like I just want to play that alongside Age of Sigmar and 40k. It's just like I'm enjoying it again. But would you believe it? I got them ordered online through Amazon used. One's coming from a Goodwill in Colorado. The other one's coming from a place called Noble Knight Games, which I know I've heard of before.
Noble Knight Games. Yeah, that
I
is.
think they're a sponsor of Two Plus Tough.
I thought they were a Garage Hammer.
Maybe it's Garage Hammer. I know they're a sponsor of somebody, but like I saw the name, I was like, okay, well I can clearly trust them. The one
Yeah.
from Goodwill, like I said, that was the Storm of Chaos. It was $15, $5 shipping. I was like, you know what? They said it was all there, minor wear and tear damage, some highlighting in the book, and I was like, you know what? Whatever. Let's see what happens.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I'm waiting for those to wrap, but I'm excited to get those and kind of feel like I have everything that I would want outside of like the Monstrous Arcanum from Forge
Mm-hmm.
World, which like I said I have a PDF of it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean I don't have a PDF of it. That's stealing. No, I, I I just know I have no idea where to get that book or at a reasonable cost. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm excited for that. What about I mean I got more. I'll just keep going. It this is Chuck's hobby hour. Everybody, get ready.
Mm-hmm. No, let's go.
Neil will get here eventually. Um, did a little work on my Catachan 25-point Crusade Force. Realized I was short, so I ordered a Chimera this past weekend alongside some the chapter approved and the narrative campaign for 40k that just came out, and also the invocations for my upcoming Fire Slayers army, my Warhammer Plus exclusive Year 2 model, which I'm giving away because as cool as these models have been, they're not for anything I care about.
Mm-hmm.
And then some Auric Brutes, because with the current point changes, which we'll get into later a little bit, my Crusade force of Iron Jaws, they fit in perfectly to make it exactly a 1,000 point force. So not only is it a Path to Glory army for my Sigmar, but it also gives me 1,000 points on them, which makes me really happy mentally.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's all my hobby purchases, and obviously I have a giant pile of terrain for Warhammer Fest I'm working on through my GW side of things, so that's fun. My gaming table is currently overcrowded by a ton of piles of gray plastic terrain, but that's fine.
Yeah. Gives you something to do.
It kills the time during the day, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, no, that's been my hobby. It's pretty good hobby. I can't complain. I said I'm going a little lazy on these catachans. I'm not gonna lie, but I have no need to rush them, so no, I'm not gonna rush them.
There
But
you
yeah, Neil, what's your hobby been?
go. I think let's see, just probably a few Marvel Crisis Protocol characters painting up for the kiddo.
Hmm?
Outside of that, building lists for Brewhammer,
Yeah, buddy.
and if that counts as hobby.
It does. It does.
And let's see, what else have I done? Oh, I've been getting in some games. I got in some games. I got in the game with my Nurgle, and I lost to Giants again.
Mm-hmm.
Can't seem to beat them, but we're gonna keep on. We're gonna keep running right into that wall. Eventually, it's gonna fall over. I
It's a
think.
that's a tough matchup for Nurgle.
Hopefully, it doesn't fall over on me like the Giants. Um, and let's see what else. Oh, I got tomorrow night. This is actually the day. It should be uh, the night that everybody hears this. So Friday night,
Yeah.
I will be playing my friend John, and we're gonna get an old school Nurgle versus Sylvaneth battle going on, and
Ooh.
a little more Brewhammer prep for this guy,
I feel
so
bad
I can,
for John because Sylvaneth are very susceptible to mortal wounds, which is what Nurgle likes to do.
Ooh, well, I've heard some really nasty things about their hit and run tactics, like that makes it super hard to actually touch them. So we'll see whether I can do that or
Yeah, it'd be
not.
fun.
Because I am not going to know how to counter any of that. So if he really knows what he's doing, I'm going to get a little education and then we'll re-rack.
Nice, nice. I'm excited. I'm supposed to meet up with Matt Saturday for us to do our Brewhammer prep.
Hmm.
And I know we talked a little of this off air last time, but 'cause I keep looking at Daughters of Cain. I was also looking at my Cities of Sigmar, which would still have some witch elves and such in it because I painted them last year and I never took them to an event, which is what makes me want to go to an event with them.
Hmm.
But also, Brewhammer is using the new GHB, all that fun stuff. So it's like, Daughters of Cain looking pretty spicy with it.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I'm still torn on it. I'm probably gonna run a couple lists with Matt this weekend to see which one I like, and like trying to decide like if I take Daughters of Cain, I'm going to try and win 5 games. Type. I won't be upset if I don't, but like that will be like the intention going forward. If I take Cities, it's gonna be like let's drink lots of beer and just see what we can do, and you know aim for like a sportsmanship or a hobby award or something fun like that.
That should be the goal anyway. By the way, I'm pouring myself another drink if you're hearing this right now.
That's fair. That's
Um,
fair. I'm enjoying a nice old fashioned in my Warhammer U.S. Open Events 2022 glass, which they gave out this year, which just so happens to be a perfect old fashioned glass.
I got a little quarter cut Cabernet Sauvignon, as the French would
Ooh,
say.
I don't think they'd say it
So
that way.
you're right. There'd be like,
I mean, I don't know how they would say it, but I'm
but
sure
it,
it's
it would.
just not any way from people from Pennsylvania, Ohio will pronounce it.
I love it.
Oh, I'm trying to think if there's anything else in my mind with hobby. I'm looking forward to Brewhammer. I mean, I know I'm fantasy crazy, but I'm also excited for the new GHB and playing some Sigmar and seeing you hanging out with.
Hmm.
I mean, Matt's gonna be there. I think this guy named Cole, he's from Ohio, might be there. I don't know. I
We'll
remember it.
see, man.
Yeah, actually,
Let's see if he gets he's going to be sleeping on couches for a little while, I think, until
I think actually, I'm curious. Did Cole make it in? I think Cole made it in.
haven't heard much from him. Little couple texts today.
Well,
Uh,
he's moving. He's moving. I'm gonna doing this live on air. We're gonna go into the upcoming events on BCP and go to that roster. Cole McGinnigal. Yeah, that's that Ohio
that's
boy. He's showing up, I guess. Oh boy.
Ohio, Ohio boy. Maybe not born,
Wow. Hey,
maybe
you're in
not
Ohio.
bred,
Not worried.
but
Ohio can't.
converted.
I'm showing up and I'm not from Ohio. That means I immediately get an award. That's how those Ohio events work, right?
It's the conversions that are, the most. You ever seen somebody who converts to a religion? They're like, they're just after it, right? They're out to prove themselves, and I
Mhm.
that's the way I want to see Cole in his Ohio ness, as he converts over from being a mountain man and having to scratch a living off of rocks.
Hey,
Um,
these rocks are delicious, Neil. We love them over here.
all this fertile ground around here. I don't know if he's gonna know what to do with
Grow corn. I don't. That's what.
it.
It's Ohio corn.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it should be fun. Yeah, I can't wait for that event. That's gonna be a good time. And plus, I mean, I'm excited to get my little magnetic forge that someone might have procured for me too. Get ready for those fire slayers.
Nice.
But no, let's see. What else? We should talk about fitness. So fitness update for me. Still week 6 currently of the 8-week program I made with Alex Fithammer on Instagram, and it's getting heavier and heavier. And we have one more week of heaviness, and let me tell you, Neil, I hurt, like in a good way. It's that good sore,
Mm,
like, but it's just
yeah,
like all over. Usually, like I have that floating pain, like my legs are sore today or my arms are
that's that
sore.
5 day a week pain right there. Yeah,
It is. If
it doesn't ever go away.
I know it feels good though, but it's also like, man, I have never had a massage in my life, and I want one so bad right now.
I've had 3, and let me tell you, they are worth it.
I
100%.
yeah, I just never have, so we'll see. I might try to get the chiropractor in tomorrow. That always helps a little bit of the tension to go away. So, but yeah, I'm loving that program. Apparently, I'm writing the next one because of the fours game that saw me get a Tomb King's Army. Also saw that I'm writing the next program for us. So, or choosing it, not necessarily having to write it, but I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, tomorrow is thankfully the late day, the day this comes out, this podcast. So I'll be less sore in 2 days of rest, and then one more week of beating the ever living crap out of my body before deload, a much needed
Hmm.
deload. Because next week, just to put it in perspective, Next week, the top set of deadlifts is going to be at least 405 for reps. And let me tell you, wasn't many years ago where I was looking at 405 for one, going, "Holy crap, how did I do that?" Now it's gonna be like reps. Let's do it.
405 in which exercise again?
Deadlifts.
Deadlifts. Okay. All right. I see that.
Yeah, I mean it'll probably be like
Now
three
let
to
me ask you
four,
this.
but
Are you doing straps on the deadlifts?
we are doing straps on deadlifts.
Ooh, cop
I
out. Yeah.
can, yeah,
I can't support it. I can't support it.
I can do a 405 without straps. I should say this. Every time I've done 405 before, like when I was like playing like top set, I've always done it without straps. Um, Two things are against me. One, because I wasn't training as often, my grip has suffered. So I'm actually been actively working to get it back up with a couple of the movements in this program. So like my grip has suffered. Now I could do the mixed grip, obviously, um, and I'm not worried. Like my bicep tendon can handle that weight, so that's perfectly fine. But
Mhm.
the one thing I'm gonna say that I don't like about my gym, it's a YMCA. Now that said, it's a YMCA in a very affluent area, so there's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't expect to see at a YMCA. So like it's we're spoiled for choice on equipment,
Mhm.
but the bars they got, while they can hand up to the abuse, they're not great. And the knurling on them absolutely suck. Absolutely
Mm.
suck. There, it's like why you didn't put knurling on this? Like what? It does crap. And they also don't like chalk in the gym. So I actually just picked up some liquid chalk so I can have some chalk in the gym because I'm the type of person that goes into the gym and it's like, okay, guys, we're running today for 15 minutes, and we're done with that 15 minutes, and somehow I have chalk all over me. So like having a gym without chalk to me is like maddening to get through, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, that was my big issue whenever I was doing deadlifts was my grip is terribly weak, and just to even like get to 300, I would I you know I maxed out at 315 at one point, and for many weeks before I actually was able to do it. And I was able to rep it 3 times, and I finally could do it, but it was just peeling right out of my hands, and I just drop it,
Yeah.
halfway up, so I could never get it all the way up and count the rep. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure where it's at right now. Love to know, but certainly not at 315. So
That's okay. We'll get there. But that's been my fitness. I'm looking forward to another really heavy week and then a deload week and see what's next. But how about you? How's your fitness been? Because you had your surgery for your tooth recently.
yeah, we're still kind of dealing with the tooth issues. That's not much of an excuse, honestly. That and I still got to clean out the basement to get a little bit of space down there. But it's in the back of my mind. It's on the agenda. It's on the schedule to clean that out because we're gonna get right. We're gonna get there.
Hey,
So
at our little March meetup for Adeptive Waltz. I mean, we're gonna be doing some
mhm.
fitness, so you better be ready.
I don't know if that's in the pack, Chuck.
Well, you better write that pack so I can
Okay.
criticize it online. Or I'm just gonna start doing I'm gonna go on Twitter and be like and just tag you like Neil, where's the pack? Just like everyone was doing for LVO. Because
Mhm.
obviously the adjustments were coming in, so everyone's like, "Where's the pack? What are we gonna play?" And then they finally announce it, and no one's happy anyway. So it's like, okay, like shut up, nerds.
It's so great.
Just play Warhammer and shut up.
Before you guys are all gonna have an entrance music for each game. We're gonna have to go full wrestling at this
Ooh,
event.
okay, I like this. I like this. Please put that in the pack. That is wonderful. I am 100% on board for this.
I can only imagine what your music would be, Chuck. I can only imagine.
Got a couple options.
Hey, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
As
Is
one of
that
them, yeah. It'll be a remix version. It won't be just the standard
okay.
version.
All right. All right.
It'll be a little more poppy. It's
Sure.
fine.
Sure. Yep.
Okay, well, I look forward to that. But yeah, outside of future events, which we'll talk at later whenever we don't have subjects on the pipeline to talk about and we need to fill time. Two things I think would be fun to talk about based upon how we usually handle these podcast episodes that came out in the past 2 days, actually. Neil, do you want to go? You want to go Old World first? Or you want to go to Mortal Realms first? Where are we going?
Let's go old world first. Pretty excited about that.
Yeah. So there was the Old World Development Diary. Now, obviously, we don't know when Old World's coming out. I literally have zero clue. So please, no one read into this. I'm gonna guess we're still 1 to 2 years away.
Oof, I don't think so.
I hope I'm wrong, but like I know 40K is gonna get their update this year. At least the first
Mhm.
6 months is probably gonna be huge. But then again, you're right. Like LVO, um, Adepticon, Warhammer
Here,
Fest, like all this is gonna happening before technically July, which is when they'll probably release the new edition of 40K based upon their usual timeline. And
here's my
any one of
argument,
those could be a good place to announce this game fully.
I don't. My argument is I don't think that you're going to have the people who are getting into the new edition of 40K.
Hmm.
I don't think those are the players who are also going to get into Warhammer Old World.
That's a good
Right? I think
thought. Yeah.
they're fairly. I mean, I don't think there's a huge chunk. I'm sure there's some,
There's
but I
us
think
like we do
right,
that. We're enjoying
right.
everything Warhammer, but
Hmm. And I'm what's that? Maybe 10%, maybe because 40K players are, I would say 80%. It's like the 80-20 rule with 40K players. Like 80% of 40K players play 40K, and then the other 20% also play X.
yeah,
I
no,
feel
you're
like
right. Cause I remember like talking to like especially what not that maybe it was this last edition. It was one of the 40K editions when Sigmar was out. I think it was this last edition. The box set came out. I remember talking to all the Sigmar people were buying the box set. So it's like it's so cool and we loved it so much. And it's like, you got us. But I don't hear often of the 40K people buying the Sigmar sets. There
yeah.
are some. There are absolutely
Mm-hmm.
some, but yeah, I think
there were there
that's a
were
good point.
there's a good amount of converts, early and everything, and I think there's a lot of 40K people who have played Sigmar. But like if you're talking Sigmar versus square bases, right? And if you remember back in the day when square bases exist, there was a heavy divide between the square base and the circle base population.
Well, the
Um,
the whole thing with the Ninth Age people that popped up, that really helped accelerate that.
mhm.
Because you could go to like a bunch of Sigmar people now and like they still remember fondly about it. They're just like, oh, like, but I think that the Ninth Age issue, and like I said, that was the whole Ninth Age speech. If you're a Ninth Age person, you were part of a community that was very aggressive and hostile and frankly dumb, and that's why you died. Um,
Mhm.
sorry, it's just truthful.
Mhm.
Whereas the Sigmar one was about love and trying to take care of each other and have a great time. So, but that said, I don't think there's many people like actively aggressive against old world. Now I've gotten
Yeah.
some fun like even like when I've gotten some flack from friends who are just like, "Hey Chuck, you're finally playing a new game. That's great." Because I
Mhm.
played Sigmar after playing Fantasy for like the past couple months.
Mhm.
It's tongue in cheek. It's like just have fun, do what you want. Like I don't see that animosity there anymore between Round and Square. I see the
No.
animosity between some people from Fantasy who still don't like the double turn because they won't shut the hell up about it.
Oh my God.
And
To the
it's like,
moon with those
yeah,
bitches.
it's like
I can't.
too bad. Okay, it's like it's fine. You want the double turn? Don't play Sigmar.
Right.
Okay, but like
To the
don't
moon,
well,
bitch.
but while I'm playing Sigmar, don't come in and tell me about the double turn sucking. I'm not coming to fantasy and saying, hey, you guys should try the double turn. That's like
Hmm.
there's a place for everything, and I think it's good in the
Right.
system it's in.
Yep. 100%. And I don't think this is as much as an animosity thing as much as if you've played 40K and you've been there through how many editions and everything, and you date back into 40K from back into the days when fantasy did exist. Yeah, the guys that I know from those days with 40K, I don't see those guys transition to the old world. Although I don't know, I could be wrong because it is a new thing. What's old is new, right?
Yeah, and listen,
And it feels new, doesn't it feel new?
it feels new, but there's like the obviously the nostalgia. Now I'm not sure that line blurs because obviously with me having this kick on fantasy and then obviously getting you guys on board and you guys joining me on it,
Hmm.
I think we're in a very different place than say someone who's a Sigmar player who also enjoyed the old world, waiting for this new update. For them, it might seem new, whereas
Hmm.
us, it's like this weird blend because like we're still playing that old world stuff because we have all the rules and we're having a good time with
Yeah.
it. So it's I like that. It's a we're in a very like Warhammer's already kind of niche. It's growing, obviously, but I think like even within that, we're in a nicher section too because
Hmm.
we're in a small group of people that literally play every game.
Hmm.
Like we just the only one we haven't played it is Horse Heresy because no one felt like doing that army except for me, and it's like that's fine. I did it because I wanted to. It wasn't
Mhm.
because I was trying to get anyone into that game.
Yeah. One of the reasons why the old world is feeling new to me is because with every edition dating back to fourth edition Warhammer Fantasy, like every edition was at the 12 minutes to midnight,
Yeah.
right? And so now, with this most recent article, I guess information post that they put
Yes.
out about it,
Yes.
they are in a time period that is a couple hundred years
200.
prior,
200.
200 years,
200-ish.
200-ish, prior to the events of the old world coming to a crashing halt and the victory of chaos. So,
Yep.
um, to me, that setting is new.
It
Like
is
it's
like there
it's it's
was.
not new that I like didn't know that it existed, that time frame existed. It's new in like me considering that's when I'm playing in the game.
That no, that's entirely fair. It's interesting because like you and I are elf players, so like we're not really
Hmm.
changing much, if at all.
Right. The army's going to be the exact same.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
which
what.
which honestly I love. I love people asking the questions like, "Well, are we going to have steam tanks and Empire?" I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, I got repeater bolt throwers and Phoenix. I'm done.
Right.
The nice thing about this article is, yeah, confirm the setting, which people were always kind of guessing at. 200 years. Now, what I do like is, and it is still kind of a 12 minutes to midnight scenario because it's right before the siege of Prague, which was a
Hmm.
big part of the universe,
Yep.
because especially the Empire. So, end of the Civil War for Empire, right before siege of Prague. Obviously, that we're not dealing with Archaon yet. We're dealing with Kul,
Hmm.
Kul. I forget. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. I'll work on that.
Cool the swole.
Cole the Swole. Fuck, now I'm getting a fucking Chaos Army for fantasy. Thank you,
Mm.
Neil. But yeah, but like they call out too, like we're not shying away from like the fact that these events were set. Like if we ever get to the Siege of Prague, guess what? Prague's fucking getting owned in this one. Sorry, boys
Hmm.
and girls, spoilers. But yeah, but I actually was curious because I went back. I was like, okay, Siege of Prague. Let me open up the old 8th edition Empire book because I think that's the only Empire book I have. So I cracked it open and went to like that section on their timeline because I used to have the timelines in those books as well. It's the smallest section. There's like very little details. Just like, hey, Prague was attacked. It got fucked.
Yeah, and
And
it's
like,
like
and yeah,
I
it's
always like I
kind
read
of like,
about
huh.
like what happened to it and how it's like the walls are all warped and there's like faces and people like
Mm-hmm.
embedded in the walls and like it's just like some nasty stuff. And then I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, we rebuilt it.
yeah. Just nail,
What?
just nail it back in. Cover up those faces with some more boards. Good to go, boys. But
So
what
apparently that could happen.
to your point though, like yeah, when I realized that, I'm like, I don't know how much story was written. So like, is this like, I'm trying to like go back and look, but like it seems like they have. I mean, obviously they do. They can do what they want, but like there's a lot more free reign within this than maybe I originally expected there would be as far as story developments go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what
It's
you mean. Like I see what you mean. Like
it's
it
it's
feels
it's
new.
interesting that like at this stage, I don't believe the Empire has because Teclis hasn't come in, right?
No, no, because
So
Magnus the
they don't
Pious was
have
the
the eight
one.
colleges of magic.
Yeah, there's no wizards for the Empire yet because Teclis was there with Magnus the Pious who united them.
Hmm.
So no magic for the Empire right now, which is
I
very
wonder how
interesting.
that's going to work in the game. That's super interesting.
I mean, they could be maybe for the Empire that this is shot in the dark. Maybe they'll still have it on some level, but it's going to be very random and it's going to be very like, hey, here's your wizard as a human. If you roll anything but this, you die. Like something, you know what I mean? Like they could do it like
Mhm.
that.
Maybe, maybe I know, but that everything they say we want to take the best versions of each one of the older games
Yeah.
and put it into this one. Basically, it's
Well,
like
to
how do you
me, Eighth
how do you have
Edition.
Empire with no magic? That's gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah. To me, my favorite part of Eighth Edition is the magic phase.
right,
So
right.
we'll see.
And like I love the cards and everything that you had in eighth edition, and it's all based off the eight colleges of magic. So
Well, the eight
it's an
wins are
interesting
still there.
choice,
Yeah,
and I can't wait to. I wonder if it's going to be very much more priest based in the army.
it could be. I mean, especially because like you have the different cities that worship different gods. So maybe we'll have more priests of Ulrich for
Hmm.
was it Middenham and all that. yeah, Middenheim. Sorry. Um, I don't know. I'm curious to see, and and it's to me it's kind of fun too because it's one of the few things in Warhammer I don't have any sort of like early privy information to.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's funny because I have some friends who are like, Chuck, you need to get on the playtest team for it and get some information. Like we gotta know. I'm like, I know I need to know, but I'm enjoying not knowing so much.
Right. I think that to me, it's got to be kind of nice for you not knowing, like, right? Because you get the benefit as a playtester of kind of getting that look in behind a curtain, right? But at the same time, like now you have some other area that you're also very interested in. You have no freaking idea what's happening.
Not even
I
fully
think
as like
that's
a playtester, just like just from being in the company. Like yeah,
hmm
it's but yeah, it's this. I'm excited for this. I can't wait. I'm glad we have the setting set. I'm glad it's still like there's a 12 minutes to midnight with the Siege of Prague, but I'm glad there's a lot of leeway.
hmm
And like I said, I'm glad all my and dwarf armies are going to work perfectly fine because that's the only armies I have, with the exception of this new Tomb King's army that I'm going to be having soon because
hmm
it's coming together quick.
who are alive and well 200 years prior to the events of the old world blowing up.
They were
Well,
dead and
they were
well.
dead. They were dead and well. Yes,
Yeah,
undead and well.
I know it's interesting because like they even mentioned this article. They didn't want to go back too far because then it wouldn't recognize because then humans, like the Empire humans weren't around. They were just in caves, and the only
hmm
humans that existed were like maybe like the Cathay, Nippon, Araby
Yeah.
maybe, and then the Tomb Kings
hmm
would still be alive, and they haven't captured the Dark Elves yet to learn magic. So it's like
Yeah.
that's a very different setting. It'd be fun, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's
It's gonna be neat too. Like, Carl Franz, right? Just a staple of Warhammer in general. He's the guy who carries Gal Moraz, right? So it's a freaking hammer that's on the book, right?
yeah.
But like he doesn't even exist yet, right? So like you've got all these new characters, Ogre Kingdoms, Grecius Goldtooth, all these special characters that they're not in the game yet. And I love
Yeah.
the fact that like the elf ones still are,
And the dwarf ones, elf
right?
and dwarf, are still there.
Elf and dwarf ones are still there, right? But then you get this brand new thing, and it really makes you kind of appreciate like how old some of these characters are,
Oh yeah, yeah,
right? And like lore wise, and I'm a big lore nerd, right?
absolutely. Yeah, we
Obviously,
both are. Yeah.
like it's cool for me to see that like that mortality like put back into the game based on going back in time,
Well, it's because
right?
the only mortality we had was during the end times when characters were literally dying, and that
Right,
was a
and they were all dying
huge
all at
shock. Yeah,
once, right?
that was a
So,
huge shock to all of our systems. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I can't wait. Like I said, it's I have a feeling too from the the U.S. Open side of things, which hopefully we'll get an announcement on this year's dates here soon for everybody, which would be fun to see. Because they
Mhm,
did at least announce the World Championship that's going to be in Atlanta, which I'm excited for. Which we didn't really talk about, but maybe we'll save that for like we'll talk once all the dates are announced. Maybe I'll talk about all of that in a show for everybody. But yeah, just you think about this, they had the concept long ago, and as long as it's still the concept where all your old stuff's still gonna work, for the most part. Like obviously, like
mhm,
some
yeah,
characters might not be there, but like like Elf Spearman's an Elf Spearman, Empire Halberdiers, Empire Halberdier. Sure, there's gonna be new models, but your old stuff works. That's an entire fan base because
mhm,
like there's still a good fan base for Warhammer Fantasy still happening on there. Like heck, there's the Adepticon, which is now sold out from what we just heard and found out. But
mhm,
that's an immediate fan base that's gonna be like, okay, we want to play. It's like
right,
it's not gonna be like Horus Heresy where it's like people are still building it up, or
yeah.
anything like that. It's gonna be like boom, here we go. Everyone has 2,000 point armies. Let's play. Like,
Yeah, my
okay, okay.
question, and I think this got brought up possibly on Warhammer Weekly, but like you wonder how they're gonna roll it out. I have hopes, and they're probably completely unfounded. My hope is that the vast majority of it, like all the classics, come out at the same time. I know that's not going to happen. I
So,
know but like as far as like the army books,
mhm.
right? If you have an empire army, here's your empire book. Orcs and goblins, here it is. Elves, obviously, here we go, right? But like some of the newer stuff, the Cathay, right? The Kaislev books,
Mm-hmm.
whatever else they dream up, right? That kind of stuff I could see coming later, but I do hope that they think about and they kind of release multiple books instead of just like one book with two races right at the start. Like that's like if I'm sitting here with high elves and the game is finally released and you got Empire and Orcs and Goblins and I don't have either of those armies, I'm just kind of sitting here like twiddling my thumbs, wondering when the hell I'm gonna get my turn.
Well,
Like that's gonna kill me.
yeah,
Like
here's the thing. I have a feeling there's going to be rules for everybody right away on some level.
that would be
Uh,
great.
I,
Yeah.
I don't look at like I think a lot of people are gonna think like I've heard people say like, oh, we're gonna be able to use our old books and just retro, and like
Ooh,
I
no,
doubt
yeah,
that.
no,
Sorry
that's
guys.
not gonna happen. Yeah, no.
Enjoy those books, cherish them, keep them, but
And if you want to play like the time, that's what I like too. If you want to play the time right before the end times, bam, switch right back into eighth edition.
exactly, not a
You know,
problem. But they it could be something as simple because there is a lot of armies um that they could do like an index type thing.
Mhm.
Here's index elves, here's index dwarf, or like however you want to call it, or maybe they will even do like smaller books of each like army. I
Yeah.
doubt the individual army because if I look
You
at the
know what they
horse
did
hair,
for Sigmar, when they put out all the war scrolls for everybody,
right?
right? They didn't have full battle tomes or anything, but you had like the rules ish, right?
Yes.
That you could play with. That's what I'd be looking
See,
for at like a minimum.
I'm pretty sure because if you look at Horus Heresy, there was two books that came out right away: Loyalist Astartes, Traitorous Astartes, and now they're coming out with like the Human Force and the Mechanicus Force separately, but like the I have a feeling it'll be something like that, where it's like, here's a book of, I mean, I say, here's the book on the elves, because you could put all the elf stuff together, because like all the lore runs together, all that sort of stuff, and it's like, here's the dark elves, here's the high elves, here's the wood elves. Fine. Um, all the humans, you could maybe put them together in a book, at least to start, and then like maybe if in, because like they're not going to want to print 30 books right away until they make sure this game succeeds. Now it's going to succeed, but like
Yeah,
there's how well is it going to succeed?
right.
So would you rather print a book that has all of the Empire
Hmm.
and Bretonia, and then like later, and then maybe the new books that come out are like, hey, here's the Cathay book because we have the Cathay army. Because obviously, I think if they're going to build model or produce new models, they're going to be
Hmm.
for the armies we don't already have.
Hmm.
Because like we already have those models. You might not sell that stuff, but if you make a Cathay army, ooh, that sounds interesting. Or if you do like a Middenheim specific um, Empire force, someone like me who doesn't have Empire, like, yeah, like I kind of want to do that. It's kind of throw my lot in with them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and then occasionally I think you do that, and occasionally you get heroes.
Just seeing that new article, I'm willing to bet that any Empire book is going to have like I hope and I have this feeling like they're going to take a little bit from AoS and put it into this because they did a lot of stuff right, with that
Absolutely,
transition to AoS
absolutely, yeah.
and the like your cities of Sigmar or your different what do they call them sub allegiances or whatever inside of like a Nurgle book or a Corn book, right? You're going to have your Middenheim and you're going to have your Talabheim
Oh,
and
I would.
whatever and they're going to play separately. I really hope so because the Empire was just the Empire before,
We
but now they
even
have this ability to change it up a little bit.
even just take that, Neil. What was your favorite high elf region? Mine was Illyria.
I was Yvresse,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, like so, like me, like maybe I get extra bonuses on my cavalry since that's the horse planes, and you, Torivest, was the waterway, right?
Right. Well, they have
Or were they the chariots?
if you look
Hmm.
into like Total War, they have this whole thing with different types of like their spearmen are better and they have like magic
Oh, that's right.
armor left over from like whatever.
That's right. They're yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
that like
yeah.
they could do whatever they wanted, right? And I'd be super happy with it,
I would love Allegiance abilities in old
Mhm.
fantasy.
Oh,
That'd be
gotta be so great.
that'd be great.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've waxed quite a bit on that. I'm looking forward to it when it
Hmm.
comes out. I have a feeling too. What we might do is as momentum picks up for this, because you and I both love this old setting so much, and like we've spent so much time in it. Maybe we'll do like deep dives on lore for some podcast episodes as we get closer to kind of maybe enlighten some people
And
who haven't didn't enjoy that or didn't play that setting or are newer or just joined of Age of Sigmar but are curious about it. So
right. And if you are, obviously you should be listening to this podcast because you enjoy Age of Sigmar. Um, this is this is the foundation that everything in Age of Sigmar was built off of.
yep,
Right. So if we dive into some of this lore, it will do nothing but make the
it'll enrich your
um
Age of Sigmar lore experience.
absolutely
Yep.
100%.
Perfect. But let's move into the Mortal Realms because that's another exciting place, and this new GHB has me so hyped.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait.
Me too.
I hate
Me too.
Galatian veterans and bounty hunters
All
so
my poo
much.
poos are gone. They
Yes,
have they have they've disappeared into the aether.
yes, and my daughters of Cain have gotten a little bit of a nerf bat. I think rightfully so in some areas, not in others.
Mhm,
We'll get into that. But
mhm,
today, as recording on the 12th, they've released the Battle Scroll Galatian Champions. And they also, if you want, always everybody when they put out these meta watch articles and they release this stuff, there's always like a 20 to 40 minute video. It's with Matt Rose, lead of the design rules team. I love what he's doing with the playtest team. Even if that means that maybe like currently, to be open and honest, to everybody right now, like I'm not playtesting because there's a restructuring of the team, and I was doing it solo, and that's maybe not the focus going forward. And maybe there'll be a team around me in the future. Maybe there won't. I have no hard feelings because I love what he's doing because I think he's modernizing it to the benefit of the game and everybody. But watch these videos with him because he gives so much insight. He's giving insight on the GHB that isn't out yet. Um, you get so much more if you watch the video than you get from reading the article. So spend the time. It's a podcast that is wonderful, and every single time you should watch them.
mhm.
So yes, so this drops. So let's I'll kind of glance through some of the changes. So obviously, Purple Sun, its rules changed to pretty much what it is. It's keeping it the same.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's all it is. It's
hasn't changed.
getting ahead of FAQ stuff there. Grand Alliance Order, Stormcast changes, Seraphon change. Like I said, that whatever. It's pretty much keeping things in line with where we're at. But Daughters of Cain, this is a rightful nerf. There was 2 battle tactics we had in the book, which gave you bonus points if you did it with Witch Elves or Sisters of Slaughter. Now, in the realm of Galatian veterans and bounty hunters, that was a nightmare. You could still earn these points fairly easily, and it also bonus points were always it would skew wrong. So they took away the additional point, but you don't, it's just like, hey, do this battle tactic, but there's no additional if you do it with these specific units, especially now because I think you'll see a lot more Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter because they're going to protect those heroes, and the heroes benefit them greatly. So rightful nerf. Let's see. Nothing else really stands out as anything like super exciting on this right now. Obviously, the new GHB that's coming out, which we'll talk about when it's officially released, and we have it in our
Seems like
hands.
chaos, like Blades of Corn, is still in there, hasn't changed. So that seems like that's good news for any new corn book that may come out in the future. I'm
Well,
hoping that's the case.
let's talk about that because
So,
like points change, so we don't have to go point by point by point. Um, like I know I was playing with my Cities of Sigmar list, and I've gained like 55 points. um, my Daughters of Cain lost a little bit, but the only points change in there that I'm actually against is seeing Marathi at 700 points because I never thought she should be at 700 points. That's ridiculous and unwarranted, and I think whoever decided to do that is wrong. And I spent years arguing for her to be no more than 680, and I wouldn't shut up about it in the group. You can ask anyone who was a playtester, and I always won the argument. And the reason I think the argument is valid is because if you're reading her rules, point blank, if you're just reading her rules, you feel like she should cost more. If you read her rules within the context of the book where she functions, 700 points I think is starting to be too much. It's too much.
hmm.
Will you
That's
still
20
see her?
points. I feel like you got some minus. You got minus a lot of points all across the board here. So I feel like that's going to be a negligible change in your list. I'm not sure. I did not say that. I'm drinking way too much to actually be able to say that word at this point.
That's fine. Like I
Um,
said, I just honestly think at some points going up. How the High Gladiatrix stayed at 90, I don't know. I was expecting her to go up to at least 100.
well, you get 6 more months of that fun.
Yeah, Hag Queen went up 20 points, which does make sense in the context of at least this new GHB coming out because she's going to be around very often to babysit a unit of Sisters of Slaughter, which helps to get the Sippy Cup too. Um, but regardless, I said it's none of the points really bothered me. I kind of expected most of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, the Hag Queen going up was like, okay, that, 10 points on foot, sure, I'll still take it. The extra 10 points in the cauldron was kind of like, I don't know if you needed to do that because you're not going to take a ton of cauldrons. High Gladiatrix not going up. Hey, happy surprise, Marathi King going up 20 points. Wrong.
You know what my favorite thing is like you look at these like canary heart renders and life takers, and it's just like if you've got wings, you don't cost that much. But if you got a snake tail, baby, watch out. Snake tail's better than wings, always.
Well, they at least raised the heart renders up by 5 points.
Yeah.
So at least you're spending 5 extra points to guarantee 6 battle tactics.
Could you imagine though, like you get pulled out of Slash, you're like, oh man, I'm sorry, we're giving you wings, man. Like you're like, oh wait a second, like I'm not that cool anymore.
Well, I mean, here's the interesting thing though, because Witch Elves went up 5, Sister Slaughters came down 5. But like I said, you look at everything like in the context of new GHB. Now, granted, that's just a season, so things are going to change. But also, these points will change by then too. I think the points going up in the snakes aren't as detrimental because I don't think you want to run as many snakes now.
Yeah,
Especially
I think that's good for the game because I mean it was either like snakes or whatever, but it was mostly snakes, right?
well, see, like it
So
was snakes with Marathi, which is why there was
mhm.
the double dip of snakes getting hit and Marathi going up. But I think hitting Marathi too was a detriment because Marathi's still good with the other versions of this army, but now she's kind of high to look at. Now here's the thing, something I'm looking at, and I'm looking at this for Brewhammer. Doomfire Warlocks at 130.
Mm.
I don't know if that's enough, but it's enough to make me go, let me see. I could spare 260 points to see what a unit of 10 can do because it might be. Yeah, we'll see. So
Reinforce them. Oof.
yeah, well, if you have 10 or more, you just do straight up 6 mortal wounds. If you have
That's
5 to
true.
9,
Yeah,
it's D6. Anything below that's D3. But if you start with that 10,
that's
you get that, and you can build that turn 1. You can be like, especially with the Galatian champions, if you
mm-hmm.
can get those guys in range, which is very possible to do, you still have
Yeah,
10 on you. You can just
you're not
pop
going to be
those
able to hit them.
heroes. You can just pop those heroes left and right.
Oh, I guess you can still magic them, can't you?
You
You
can
just
still
can't shoot
magic them.
them.
You just can't shoot them.
Ah, clever girl.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see.
Mhm.
Yeah, listen, I'm not down on daughters. I just think Marathi going up. If she was 690, I'd probably still be happy, honestly. But 700,
Mhm.
I'm angry. That's my trigger mark.
We got a grudge, Chuck. We got a grudge.
I would love to grudge you,
You-
Brewhammer, but regardless,
Just,
like I said, there's only 2 armies I've looked
just,
at.
just,
I'm
just
not.
lose all your games, and we'll eventually meet.
That's true. We could do that too. But
Uh,
there'll be more in depth, and people who play the Dodgers King competitively, truly, that will give you better, reasonable understanding of it. But if they tell you
mhm.
Marathi at 700 is fine, they are still wrong, and I will fight them tooth and nail. Everything else to say about the army, I'll agree with. That one, I'll still disagree with. But regardless, Neil,
Mhm.
Corn. Let's look at Corn because that's your favorite.
Let me bring it. Let me
Yeah,
slide
let's.
down here. I already know the unit that I want to talk about the most. Uh,
Ooh, we got a unit you want to talk
Chaos.
about the
I
most.
do. Blood Warriors. Blood Warriors.
Oh,
Blood Warriors. Blood
quick
Warriors.
shout out to Lotan in the IDK dropping 5 points. God bless you. You're getting better and better, buddy.
Lotan. Lotan of the Hill people.
Heck
Blood
yes.
Warriors at minus 34 points at 160 points for 20 wounds of a unit. Whenever it rolls a 6 on an armor save, it's doing mortal wounds. Okay,
Yep.
it's got 2 attacks. It's, I want to say, 3s and 4s. I want to say if I'm remembering correct off the cuff.
I don't know.
Now it's no rend, right? But you can boost these bad boys easily up to 4 attacks apiece. You can curse something that they're attacking, and they're doing mortal wounds on 6s with 4 attacks, 3, 4 attacks apiece. And then they die, and then they pile in an attack again, and they're going to continue to do those mortal wounds when they pile attack and attack back in. So hopefully you have a slaughter priest hanging around, which is still at a very reasonable 100 points. Corn has some legs, kids. Especially in a meta where I'm going to assume maybe we're not going to see as much shooting. Maybe we will see like 3 units of dedicated shooting for the sharpshooter or whatever that battalion is called, to take out those Galatian
Wait,
champions.
it's
But
interesting because it's minimum of 2 in that max of 3, but
oh, is
that
it? I thought it was I thought it had to be 3. Period.
I thought it was minimum. Well, we're I don't remember because it was all leaks, so we can't actually. Or was it? Maybe it was in an article. I can't remember, but I thought it was minimum 2, max of 3. But regardless, that means you're at best then 3 drops, and you're probably more than that because you're. I don't. I'm curious to see how the whole 1 drop thing's going to change here because, yeah, if Corn can still get a 1 drop because they don't care about that shooting stuff, and then
Yeah,
the shooting armies are going to be like 4+ drops. I could see Corn coming in and kind of being surprising some people like out of nowhere and just kind of like a sucker punch to the kidney.
I don't know, man. 320 points for 40 wounds of Blood Warriors. Really? I mean, that's I'm gonna
Yeah, minus
I'm gonna
30 is
have to
pretty
invest
good.
in yeah, I'm gonna have to invest in some more Blood Warriors, and I've got 30 of them. Okay, and that's not enough.
I only have 10 and I promise you I want 30 now.
That is not enough, man. Because I would run 3 units of 20 easy in an army. That'd be my battle line, right? Maybe, yeah. I don't. Poor Blood Reavers, man. At 80 points compared to 160 for Blood Warriors, please get
Yeah,
out of here.
but Blood
There is
Reavers
no place for those things
there
at all.
Blood Reavers are still there. You run them forward to die. Like
I
if like
guess.
it's
I mean, they're still chaff, but
a
like you got to find
guaranteed blood
something
tithe
that's going to
point.
be better.
Guaranteed blood tithe point. Like I still think Blood Reavers have a place, but like I said, it's
Maybe,
3 at most.
maybe.
3 units of 10 at most.
You know what has a place? It is Garrick's Reavers at 60 points. That's what you run forward.
That's true. Run that and 2
That's a
units of
blood
blood
type point.
reavers. There's
This-
3 blood tithe points. Super cheap right there.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Let's see. Do we have Scarred Bloodwrath? Is he still running around here?
He went up.
Scarred
He went
Bloodwrath
up.
went up 5. I can see that. I'm not mad about that. That's fine.
Yeah,
I,
it's fine. Plus
yeah,
5
he's
minus
gonna
5 doesn't
come
really
back.
affect much.
It's what do you got? A little bit less than a 50% chance, maybe,
I'm
of him
excited for
coming back.
Korg cool down 20, and he's still got that
Yeah.
reality splitting axe and what an 8-inch pile in.
Unfortunately, though, he is not a Galatian champion. He will be shot dead.
Oh, does he?
So
Oh, darn.
he
Never
is a
mind.
3+ save, but that is not going to be enough to save his ass.
What
Not at
about
his
the
5-inch
regular?
move.
Because regular champion on the same base doesn't he? Does he still have the same wounds?
Yep. Let's
Uh,
see. We got a Mighty Lord of Corn at 110.
110. But he still has that reality splitting axe, doesn't he? The Mighty Lord of
Yes,
Corn.
he does at 110. That's not terrible.
It's not. It's not.
He's got a pretty decent command ability there too.
Valky
So
is
yeah,
down 5 points.
yeah.
I got my little
Valky's
conversion.
back to the 130 she had been for
Yeah.
quite some time, I want to say. But yeah,
Scarbrand's up 10. That's fair. He's mad about it, but that's
he's
good.
certainly mad about it.
But
He was
that's
mad
good.
when he was at the when he was down 10.
Scarbrand's mad
He
when he
was
goes down points. Scarbrand's mad when he stays at the same points.
right.
Scarbrand's mad when he goes up in points.
He's
Scarbrand mad,
always
bro.
yeah, he's furious at all times. Um, Skull Reapers are another one coming down 15 points. Personally, I would have loved to seen those buddies maybe a little bit farther down than that. But as I was just talking offline with Matt and yourself about that drop in the points there, and you can do a lot with some Skull Reapers. They are still pretty fragile, but if you get them in and everything goes your way, that's the problem, right? Is this
Right. Everything has to go your way.
there's a lot of bubbles that you have to manage still in corn compared to some other races, but I don't want to make this the corn show though. So,
That's
but
I mean every other show is the Dodge Kane show. We can make it a corn show.
I want to get one last thing in. Okay, Korgoraths at 90 points. I haven't seen Korgoraths at 90 points since some point in early early second edition, and they were good at that point,
Hmm.
and they will be good again.
Yeah,
Um,
if you can
the
find them,
problem
if
is
you can find
the
them.
yes, the problem is the reinforcements that you can't put them in a big old group of them, which is
Well, I
unfortunate
think they're
because
fine
I
to
used
just
to
run
like.
solo, aren't they?
They are. You can, yeah. And I sometimes did that, but like you can, if you ran a group of 60 of those, or 60, I'm sorry,
Six,
66
six,
is what I'm
six.
saying.
Yeah.
Six of those. That's a lot of beef and a lot of attacks and a lot of damage coming out of those guys, but for not a whole lot of points. But but yeah, you can find them. I think personally in my list, I'm going to sneak one, maybe two of those things in there somewhere.
Yeah,
They're
if I can find a second one, I've already kind of thought about, and I know a nice shop locally that sells secondhand models. So if there's one in there for $15, I'll buy it. I'll paint it up.
Yeah,
Run it.
worst comes to worst, Chuck. I got six of them. I can part with
Oh,
one.
jeez. Okay.
So
Sure. We'll let you know. We'll let you know.
don't tempt me, Frodo. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say about corn. Is there is a ton of points drops in corn, and they have been on the bench for quite some time, and it's time for them to maybe get back in the game here a little bit.
I look forward to it. I honestly, I wouldn't mind because I don't have much planned hobby wise for this year as far as like armies. Like I have my Fire Slayers and a small Catachan force and Napoleonic force at some point, but getting models has been a nightmare as I've mentioned before. And so, and then still like these, none of this is a rush, but like my Corn force is a mixed demon, um, uh, mortal army, which the way things have played out, that's usually not the best way to go. But I just kind of painted what I thought was cool.
Hmm.
Now, whenever we see a new book, if that's still the case where it's like, hey, you got to kind of go one or the other, I'm definitely gonna probably buy some stuff and this year and paint more corn. I'm obviously I think I'm gonna go more mortals. I just like the sculpts better.
Mm.
Um, and more blood
That's where I
warriors.
am too.
Yeah,
I've always loved I like the idea of it's a mortals army. The mortals are running forward, they're
and you
fighting,
summon
they're
in the
dying,
demons. Like I said,
and then
maybe
you summon
bring.
in the demons from them dying.
Now,
Yeah.
obviously, I'll bring in Scarbrand right away because he's cool.
Oh, Scarbrand's gonna be in there for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, but like that's kind of on my plate to just add and paint this year because it's been a minute since I painted my corn. So I do want to give because I have looked at this document. Obviously, it came out because like I have plenty of armies. Most of my armies are 2,200 to 2,400 points to adjust for point changes. Now I'm worried about one of my armies
Mm.
that even with that I might not have enough anymore. Now I like to point you at Hedonites of Slanesh.
Let's go down here.
Let's
Wow, look
see.
at that.
Yeah.
That's
One
that's
thing, one
one
thing.
red bar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one thing went up in points. Sigvald, and that's
Hmm.
completely understandable.
I'm surprised. Who's the Glutos? Where's Glutos? Did he go down?
No, he stayed the same. I think
Okay.
Glutos is fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Oh.
more stuff dropped in this army than not. That's the only thing that went up is Sigvald, and that's fine. And I don't think anyone's gonna complain about 5 points.
Man,
I think
I
people
feel
are.
like Demonettes could have gone down 10.
I feel like DMS could have gone down like 20.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have
Uh.
gone down.
Yeah. But regardless, it's. I look at this and I was like, I think my list is. I think I need to paint more Hedonites of Slanesh, which is more of a demon focus. So it's gonna be fun to see. Maybe I'll add a mortal for fun. I don't know, but I
Can,
might add Sigvald. I might have enough points to just throw Sigvald in with the way these drops happen.
are the Demonettes, did the Demonettes actually come on 25 millimeters or did they have
Yes.
the 32s?
No, they're 25 still.
How do you have Blood Reavers on 32s? I don't
They
know.
were well. Okay, so
I
Demonettes.
get it. I
If
know why they're there.
if we
I
go
know
back to
it's
the
too
old
late.
world, go back to the old world. Demonettes run the smaller bases. Uh, uh,
Then
Bloodletters run a bigger base, so it's still the
no,
same.
they weren't. No, Bloodletters were on a
No,
were they?
they were on the 30s, 30, yeah, 32 across. They were on the bigger
Oh
base
my god,
on
don't get me
squares.
started on this. I just
But they also had the basic second ranks fighting all the time anyway for an extra attack. So
yeah.
it's that I think that might have been a little bit lost in translation, but
Yeah.
maybe like I said, wait for the new book. Maybe they adjust their war scroll to make it different. So like I said, I'm not gonna poo poo them. They're so cool models, and I have 30 of them.
Yeah, look at that Lord of Pain minus 20. I mean, you got a minus 40 on Dexessa. I think that's That's
That's
that's a
kind of
good thing.
telling.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Let's see.
Uh-huh.
Hellstarters with Claw Spears, yes. Hell Scourges, yes. Bladebringer on Chariots, Hellflares, yes, 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 yeah.
Chillaxy down 4.
Because I
Keep your secrets down 30. Good.
good, yeah. That
Hmm.
more.
More.
It's a freaking greater demon. It doesn't play
Uh-huh.
like one. Stop it. What are you doing?
Hmm.
Yeah, on
Sometimes I think that like you got to watch with this, right? I just and when new books come out, I gotta say I really like what they're doing here, right? Because they're fixing points to try and make things more playable, and I appreciate that.
right,
My gripe has always been sometimes things need war scroll changes,
right.
and it doesn't matter whether you drop them 100 points, you can't.
You can't
They,
fix it
they
with
just don't
points.
work, right? But as the new books come out, hopefully that's where that happens. And like if you look at Nurgle, right, and you look at the like Bloab
Yeah,
and like those units and how those unit they finally changed those war scrolls to the point where you're like, oh man, this model looks amazing and I want to play it, and now it doesn't suck anymore and now I can play it. Right?
yeah.
That's awesome.
Now,
Right?
my worry for this is means we won't see a Slanesh book anytime soon,
Mm-hmm.
because as much as people will say they do it differently, I don't think GW would drop these that people have to buy so much
Mm-hmm.
if the book was soon. So people go out and feeding frenzy and buy a bunch of Daemonettes, or not Daemonettes, but like Hedonites and Slanesh, just
Mm-hmm.
to see a new book come out and the points go back up. I don't. So I'm like, maybe we won't see that book right away. I don't. It's hard to tell from this, but like that's my gut instinct, and I don't know the timing on anything. So
Yeah.
happens when it happens, but yeah, let's hope that new book comes out to just make Slanesh great again.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe not as great as they once were.
That's true. Yeah,
let's
make
stop shy of that. Okay.
make Slanesh almost great. Make Slanesh playable again. I don't know,
Yeah. Let's
but
let's get him back in the game. Let's get him off the bench, just like Corn. All right. Let's
yeah,
get
yeah.
him off the bench.
Looks like Skaven's had a lot of points decreases because yeah, no, they need
Mm-hmm.
more models on the table. Sure, that's fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Quick run down here. Slaves of Darkness. Obviously, there's no changes because your new battle tome is
New
out,
book. Yeah.
or
Mm-hmm.
it's on. Yeah, actually this Saturday it's officially fully out. So, um, which actually I'm curious on that too because I haven't seen how that's going to affect my list because like I don't really have a lot. I was actually using endless spells to fill out my points, so I actually might be picking up a model or two to fill it out with the pre-orders coming up here. I looked. Did you see that new not Eternus, but it's the Chaos Lord on mount that the Eternus kit also builds. Did you see that by the chance?
Lord on Mount. No, I did not see that.
Oh, it was in an article in Warcom very recently. I think maybe even today.
Okay.
I'm gonna head to it right now and see if I can't send it to you. It's kind of like an Archeon glow up. Yeah, look
This
at
I want to
the
see.
it was yesterday. Eternus build mounted leaders to shake the mortal realms. Blah 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 blah. But if you scroll down into that, there's the alternate build in this kit. So there's Eternus. So if you're playing Be'lakor, you're gonna have Eternus because as long as Be'lakor's on table, I think Eternus
Maybe I
keeps coming
have seen
back.
him. Yeah, maybe I have
Yeah,
actually.
but like that's like you look at that and you're like that's just old Be'lakor with a huge glow up, and I love that sculpt. So and you just give him a different weapon, like he has a hammer. He doesn't have the Slayer to Kings, obviously. 'Cause it's not Archeon, but I might if I need points to fill my list, I'm gonna pick that model up because that model is freaking awesome. Everything
Hmm.
about it's just wonderful to me.
There he is. Yeah,
Yeah,
I have seen him. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. It's I just everything about that model just screams like this is cool. Buy
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I mean, that's metal as hell, right?
Yeah. The only regret I have for my Slaves of Darkness army, while we're on this weird subject out of nowhere, is I painted them as a Slanesh army, so like they have
Mhm.
purple wash, and I could change it, but it'd be hard. But it's just like because it's a very quick scheme. It's not the cleanest. It's kind of like you do it quick and you're done. It'd be a
Yeah.
shame to do that to this model.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't want to
It's
repaint the whole force just for one model, or do I? I don't know yet. We'll
mhm.
see.
Tell you what, I gave up my army of slaves to darkness. I traded that for Seraphon, and then I kept Archaon just because it's the best model I've ever painted.
Yeah, you obviously you should keep
But he just sits there, sad and lonely on his throne of lies in my dark basement, and I just wonder if I need to move him. I don't know where if I ever got rid of him, it'd have to be to one of you guys where I know he would have a safe home and he would be appreciated.
Oh, he'd have a safe home. He, yeah, it's there'd be a safe
I
home
just
anywhere you'd
yeah,
send it. But
I feel terrible that he's just sitting on this amazing slaves to darkness army, but I just can't do it right now. Can't do it.
honestly, I think just keep him and just say he's with your corn army for fun
I
whenever you
could
feel
do
like
that.
it.
Oh yeah, I could
Yeah,
do that.
he's
Yeah.
perfectly fine for that. I would not. He's cool. I like. I
Yes.
remember playing story time, folks. So me and Neil were talking on Twitter long ago, back in the heyday when Twitter was the place to connect for Warhammer, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how we met. We were
Mm-hmm.
communicating, and then we met at the second Adepticon where Age of Sigmar happened. That was my first Adepticon. I'm not sure if that was your first or second,
This is
Neil.
my first,
Your first?
my absolute first. Yep.
Game one. So I remember this because my opponent was a fucking idiot. He was okay. So real quick, we're gonna do two stories. I go to this game, and I had Stormcast at this because Daughters Game weren't really out yet in a way that I was attached to them. So I had my Stormcast force, and I was just there for fun. I wasn't trying to win anything. So I'm like, I'm hoping to go 2-3, 3-2. I think I went 2-3. Can't even remember at this point. Doesn't matter. My first opponent was just some. He was nice. He wasn't a jerk or anything, but like he was playing Sylvaneth, and all of his trees were just cut out neoprene, cut out black neoprene because he didn't actually feel like building the trees. Which means he
Mm,
didn't want to play. And like to me, like you glue for Sigmar, you glue the trees down.
yeah.
For fantasy, you don't. For Sigmar, you glue them down. Uh, yeah, and I saw that and I was just like, fuck, I don't care about winning this game. You just like he was a good enough opponent, it was fine, but I'm just like we just went through the motions. But the highlight was next to my left was Neil LaRocca. We
Mm-hmm.
got to meet and hang out. He had a beautiful Archeon with souls of Stormcast fleeing back to Azir. It was wonderful. I got to meet him. I don't remember my opponent's name, nor do I care to. I've never seen him in this hobby ever again.
Mm-hmm.
But Neil, you've been a friend for life, so that's the fun memory. So that
Yeah.
Archeon better stay in your possession, whether it's Corn, whether it's Slaves of Darkness eventually, whatever. You need to keep him.
Well, that's why I have. And actually, I showed that Archeon to Dave Witek at that Adepticon, who was my Warhammer hero before there was Warhammer heroes,
Mm-hmm.
and and he said that's fucking awesome. And to me, like that made my entire event. So
Honestly, Neil, I'm probably when we go to Adept of One when we're playing,
mhm.
I will probably be like 2 drinks shy of you going, "Hey Chuck, what if you picked up Be'lakor to go against my Archeon? You make it just as cool of a base, and we have battles, Archeon versus Be'lakor. Every time we meet for like a multi-day thing, we play a game, Archeon versus Be'lakor, with whatever army we want that fits with. So
Mm-hmm.
you could convince me of that, especially if it would make you keep that Archeon.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I look at these slaves to darkness are like the new models. I mean, they're amazing,
Absolutely.
right? And like I couldn't like and the fact that the new battle tome actually works with Chaos Warriors, which is nice.
Yeah, new Baltom's great. Love it. I love it.
So it's like, oh yeah, remember those Chaos Warriors and Knights that you have that look really cool? Like they actually work now. Yeah, like because I was never the guy who's just like, okay, I'm going to build this army with a bunch of pink horrors and a random unit of plague bearers. Like there's no Legion of the First Prince for me. I'm sorry, there's just not. There's Chaos Warriors, and that is it.
See,
Um,
here's the thing I have too, and this is because you know me and I'm crazy. If I was to ever like, because the thing is, all my Slaves of Darkness, because I still bought it with the old Start collecting boxes. That's just what was out. It wasn't like me going old hammer for old hammer's sake. It's just that's what it was.
mhm.
There was maybe a few newer sculpts in there just because that's what is available, but like most of it's the old stuff. I have had thoughts of going, okay, well, I still play 8th edition fantasy.
Hmm.
What if I just put those back onto, because like I said, they're painted very simply. It's not, it's like, it's nothing spectacular. Every other army I have for Age of Sigmar, I put in a lot of work. This was just kind of like, I'm going to see what I can do for washes and see how fast I can get it done, which was very quickly. I could easily rebase those back to squares and say, boom, you know what? There's my classic fantasy chaos warrior army, because they're also the old, like, they're tightly packed, they're not dynamically posed,
Right. If I
and
had
and
that, those are
redo.
all the ones I had. And if I had those still, I sold those to Dave.
Mhm.
And Dave gave those to his son. If I was Dave, I'd be asking for those back or paying them off
Yeah.
because I mean that's exactly what I'd be doing. I'd put them back on squares, and then if I was going to do Sigmar, I'd do these new models because
Absolutely, it's a
uh,
thought, because these new models are
mm-hmm,
spectacular, and it's just like it
mm-hmm,
would be really weird to mix all these new models with the old models. To me,
mm-hmm,
not that you
yep,
couldn't, you absolutely could if that's what you want to do, but like I'm like, plus also it gives me a chance to paint. If I was to redo this, I'd paint them in the black and gold. I'd make them neutral, so I can just mark them however I feel like it.
yep.
But we'll see. It's a thought, and like I said, but I'm also staring at a Catachan small army. I have a Fire Slayer army to start, and I have way more terrain than anyone's ever going to paint in a lifetime sitting on my desk right now. So it's a pipe
That'll be
dream, but it's a
that'll
possible
be
pipe dream.
that'll be done by March, so you'll need something to
You're not wrong,
do.
because the deadline for this train is actually March,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
before it gets on the slow boat over to Warhammer Fest.
Yep.
Um, I'm hopefully by March.
By the way, if you want to bring some of that to Adeptavant, we'll help you out.
I would, I've had many folks who'd say like, hey, I'll gladly help it out. And it's like, but honestly, two things. One or three things. One, I am getting paid to do this, so it's like I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
just. That's not what I'm about. This is my job, and I'll take that seriously because that's truly what it is to me.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I am really, really good at assembly line things. That's why I can paint armies so quickly. Like when I start this Fire Slayers army, it's gonna be done in like a week because it's the same freaking sculpt 1,000 times.
Yes.
Um, and three, I have a system, and moving it outside this house would probably screw up that system.
Mm.
It's honestly probably quicker and more mentally easily for me to just do it myself. I mean, to be fair, I'll have all this built probably. I aimed for end of next week. I bet it's going to probably be 2 weeks. I'll have everything built and primed, and then I have 2 months to get it painted and shipped,
Mm.
which isn't that bad because like we're not. It's terrain. We're not going to do like anything extreme on the painting. It's gonna look good, but it's going to be done. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that, but I would rather when I'm with you guys just having fun, just playing games and maybe making poor decisions with money and buying a new Slaves of Darkness army and rebasing another one.
Yeah. I'm really considering this whole Adepticon thing to be every day of Adepticon, but I got to be realistic, but
I will
I
I
don't
will
know.
say I will say this, Neil. Personally, I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I say that as someone who has a job where I can travel because I work remote.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They're
Like
very they're very lenient on my time off too, so I could I'd take a couple of days off. I'd probably take a
I'm
couple of days where I have the laptop near me, but
I'm PRN, so I set my own schedule, so I can work like crazy, and then I can just make it happen. So,
well, tell Dave
um,
that he's got some cancels classes canceled. Matt taking some PTO, and Cole also
mhm.
some PTO. Everybody, you
Yep.
screw everybody else, Neil. It's me and you. This is the me and you show.
Think
Everybody else.
about how fun it would be to have like all your best buds around. We do the whole Warhammer preview thing that first night.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll be blast.
Well, actually, the one nice thing, we did it at what? We did it at Nova. So, because it's usually Wednesday night for the preview. So Wednesday night's usually my night for the Barn Owls, which is my weekly group meetup. So
Hmm.
like every time there's been a reveal and I've been over there, we just put it on and it's a fucking blast because like people will be just watching and be like, the fuck is that? That's so cool. Like even though these guys aren't in this, I'm working to get that group into Sigmar. They're
I don't know how they're gonna fall into it. They have to.
absolutely because I'm there.
Hmm.
You know how I work, Neil. Um, Trust me, they've already gotten free models and they're about to get more. Um,
Hmm.
but it's such a blast. So like I am down for that. I will be there for that whole time. Absolutely. Because like yeah, watching that preview with friends is so much more enjoyable. Like obviously if you're there that's probably the best. But we're obviously not going because last year was different
Mhm.
people's reasoning. This year it's other people's reasonings, and we'd rather all just be together. So that's why we're calling Adepta won't. It's like Adepta we won't go because we choose not to. So sure.
Mhm.
Um, but watching those previews with friends is so much more enjoyable.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like
yeah.
even at the U.S. Open. So during the U.S. Open this past November, yeah. Um, so there was a preview during that. Obviously, like the preview show for the people in attendance is like an hour earlier. There's no phones. People are usually pretty good about not leaking stuff. It's always fun.
Mhm.
Even with that, I could have been out next to that screen watching people because I was in full catch hand gear and I was an employee, so I could just walk wherever the hell I want. I chose to sit with the friends I knew from the Age of Sigmar group of people who were there to play. We all just sat together, and even though we had probably the worst seats in the house, like we were like watching through like a glass door, sound was like muffled, but we were together, and that was more enjoyable watching that together on a worse viewing experience than watching it alone at a better viewing experience.
Mm.
It's always like Warhammer is always about friends
Yep.
on some level, so I
Oh,
am 100%
on
down for that.
on the highest level, as
Yeah,
as,
yeah.
as far as I'm concerned. So.
I'm down for that. That's what you do, and Amy's okay with it.
And Amy's okay with it.
Yes.
She just looked over with a with like
Listen,
a question mark like written right across her face.
listen,
So
Amy. This is Chuck. Chuck's a saint. He can do no wrong. You need to. By the way, Amy's Neil's wife. If you're tuning in new, we're
Mhm.
asking permission live on air.
They're asking permission live on air.
And if she
Live on air.
disagrees, I have my Tirathi knife.
Don't worry about what you're giving permission for. We'll talk about that later.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Um. Yeah. So I think this is gonna be one of our best episodes yet, Neil, because we've talked over an hour and we waxed poetically about both Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar. So we've
You
proved.
remember? You remember when these were supposed to be 20 minutes?
I do, but I knew it was a lie. Like
Right.
it's
It was a sham.
like when we switch this, like multiple reasons for switching it. Two reasons.
Mhm.
One, I'm bad at managing a big group of people. As
Mhm.
much as I want to have everybody from the Strength Hammer crew on, Dave, Cole, Matt, you, and me, I can't manage that. I'm not good at that. And two, when I sat down and thought about that, I said, okay, within the setting of Warhammer specifically, how we view the game, how we've loved the game, how we've grown in the game, who is the person that is exactly like me? And it's you.
Mhm.
More so than anybody else. We were high elves. We moved to Sigmar. We chose different paths after Sigmar. We still both like blood,
Mhm.
but
Right. Right. Right.
we can both appreciate all of it. And then recently, like I said, we got you into 40K along with everybody else. That was the last missing piece.
Mhm.
So I knew
Mhm.
these would eventually get longer and longer and longer. So thank you to your family for letting it happen. But I think
Never a problem.
it's a good place to end this one because lots of good news. Was it this Saturday, day after this podcast goes up? New Jones Handbook's on pre-order. A couple weeks after that, there'll be the preview for LVO. So we're about to start hitting the ground running with Warhammer Funness. And like I said, and Neil, I hope you're right. I hope this year they say Old World's coming out. Everybody, get your pocketbooks ready because I'll be ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm hope I'm right as well. But if I'm not, I will wait for it. And if so, I am. I just think right now at this stage, we got a lot of good things to look forward to. So,
Absolutely.
hope
And if
everybody
we
is getting excited for their hobby right now.
yep, and if we have to wait for Old World, that's fine. I'll keep playing 8th edition because I still love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's gonna be. I'm excited for all things Warhammer. Um, and then I guess Neil, do you want to sign us out? Or do you want me to sign us out this time?
So I brought us in.
All right. Everybody stay Stormcast strong. Happy hobbying. Stay beautiful.